And now we'll hear from the teacher.
It never ceases to amaze me how easy it is to write presentations and how sometimes it's really, really hard to deliver them. So you'll have to forgive me as I try to choke through 3 index cards worth of notes. First off, I want to thank you all for coming out today. Those of you who knew my mom first as Karen Fiala, and those of you who knew her first as Karen Black, and those of you who knew her first as Karen Ruiz. As many of you know, she was an avid tennis player, oddly enough, an avid skier, which is something I didn't even know. And a number of you knew her as a teacher, or maybe a tennis coach, or maybe hanging on for dear life trying to ride a quad or a sandrail or any number of other mechanical contraptions. And while it pains me to admit this, for much of my life, I knew her primarily as a royal pain in the butt. And it's funny, when you look at the word eulogy and what it means, most people are familiar with the term, say, biology, for example. And biology is the study of living things. And if you go back to the Greek, where the word came from, it's study, discussion. I can play a little fast and loose with the vocabulary, but eulogy comes from the same root, and it means the study of the good. And the question that we have to ask ourselves is why we wait so long to perform the study of the good. Why is that done at a funeral? Why don't we do that earlier? Now, the story I've got is maybe not quite so touching, but I think it's very descriptive. And that was a time, several years ago, I was maybe 16 or 17 years old, and at the time, Mom was living in an apartment on Central Avenue, and she needed to move, so she got my uncle George and I, to help her out with that. And the problem was, this apartment was situated in such a way that it's on the edge of a building. The front door goes into a courtyard. The back door goes out onto a second floor balcony. And the balcony, the top rail is maybe about 8 or 9 feet above the ground. So if you're moving a lot of stuff, you've got 2 options. You can either move the stuff out the front door, go around the courtyard, down the stairs, and around the building to get to the U-Haul, or you can just dump stuff off the balcony and take it to the truck, which is 10 feet away. Okay? So my mom, being who she was, decided she didn't have enough time to move all of this stuff all the way around the building, so she dragged George and I off to a home improvement store. I think it was Home Base on Indian Street, one of these places. And George and I were excited because we're like, oh, here's what we're going to do. We're going to construct a ramp. We're going to put it up to the balcony, and we're going to drop stuff down the ramp, and it's going to be a lot faster. It's going to be great, much more convenient. Love it. And so we started grabbing stuff off the shelves. We grabbed tools, a hammer and some nails and all this other stuff. And then my mother, being who she is, proceeded to tell us, okay, now build it. Here in aisle 4, smack in the middle of a home improvement store. Now, if looks could kill, I'm pretty sure the 3 of us would have been dead that day 7 times over. The store staff had no idea what to do with us. And the customers, of course, were just pointing and laughing and whispering at each other. But I'll tell you what, it worked. We got it built. We hated the experience. George and I don't know about George, but I took a long time to forgive her for that one. It was incredibly embarrassing, but it worked. And that, I think, is the trick to how Mom was so effective at what she did. If you've got a room of 30 people, 30 kids, who don't want to be there, some of whom barely speak English, and who are raging with hormones and caffeine and sugar and God knows what other substances, and you're trying to get them to read Shakespeare, you got to be a couple things. Number 1, you've got to be stubborn as hell. Number 2, you've got to be creative and willing to give up people's comfort in order to further the mission and get the job done. And that's what she had. And as I look at my career, I'm an engineer, and my job, day in and day out, is to solve problems. And I'm pretty sure that the only reason I'm as stubborn as I am, and the only reason that I'm as willing to give up people's comfort to get the job done, is from her influence. And there's no way I can ever thank her enough for that. That said, there's another lesson to be learned here. Another lesson that she's teaching us all. And I will say, and I have to say this with a heavy heart, that she did struggle a lot, like we all do, to find moments of happiness in her life. And what I found in reflection over the last few days is that there are so many people who have so much trouble with that. And it seems very, conceptually anyway, very easy to fix. And that's to do a eulogy for yourself, to do eulogy for the people in your life, and to do the eulogy for the people, for your family and friends, and the people around you. Because the only way that you are going to find lasting happiness is to find the good in other people. And if you ignore that, if you fail to recognize the love and the joy and the wonder in all of God's creation, you will fall victim to despair, and you will try to find happiness at the bottom of a bottle, at the end of a needle, or at the end of a pipe. And that's a damn shame. So what I say to you all today, Karen's final lesson to you all is to find the good that's around you, to find the love, to find the joy, and to find the hope. I love you, Mom.